Good morning and happy New Year to you all. And I'd like to welcome you all to the West Coast of California. I'm Bob Paste. I'm your host, and this show is called The Secret and How Do You Fight CPS and Win. It is hosted by Vincent W. Davis. He's a licensed attorney, a family law attorney. He has a trial background, and he can offer you consultation for 30 minutes to an hour, no charge, about the strategies of your case, and it's well worth to make the phone call to contact him. Our number to reach is 888-888-6582, and we're very fortunate today to have a guest speaker, and she'll be talking in a minute here. I want to tell you that all that are listening, make sure you call in if you want to be a speaker and give your name and so forth. We'll set you up and so forth on that. So without further ado here, I'd like to welcome Eve Starcher. Is that correct, Starcher?
Yes, yes.
Okay, good. Just relax, Eve, and
Yeah, that's
welcome. And
correct.
go
Hi,
ahead.
nice to meet you. Thanks for having me.
Yep, go ahead. You go ahead and start. And
All
so
right,
you
thanks
may
for having
want
me
to,
on the show.
yeah, you
I'm
may
from
want
West
to start
Virginia.
West Virginia. Okay, a second one is from West Virginia. Good to hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to start this by from the beginning. Um, I had family court with my ex. We had split up, and I had recently got evicted from my apartment, and I didn't have nowhere else to go other than like a friend's house, which he had like a one bedroom area for us to stay in, and I had three kids. So I let my two youngest ones stay with my ex. I have a 2-year-old, 5-year-old, and 8-year-old. So my 2 and 5-year-olds stay with my ex. And my 5-year-old has hypoplastic right heart syndrome, where he was born without the right side of his heart. Um, and
Okay.
he's underwent 3 open heart surgeries already. So I mean, and he smokes in here, so I didn't want him to be around the cigarette smoke stuff. But when my daughter moved in, we started smoking outside. And anyway, so he took me to family court to try to get custody of my son because my son's father is deceased and I'm the only one on the birth certificate. But so
Well,
when we
this is
went to
not the
family court,
biological.
I
This is
didn't.
not the biological father. This is a man. He's
No,
not the
no,
biological father of your children. So you are in a second relationship. Then
no.
am I correct? Oh, you're not in this relationship the second
Yes,
time around.
yeah,
Okay. All right. Okay. So you had one relationship, and
yeah. He
that was with how many children was that with? Two,
um
two, two.
he is the father on the birth certificate of my youngest daughter, but he's not the biological father. But he was there, and I was pressured to put him on the birth certificate. Um,
Oh,
so, but he's not the biological father, but he is on her birth certificate. But my oldest daughter, she's got a different father.
okay. Okay.
But when we was at family court, um, I wasn't aware we had court until like 2 days prior when he texted me. I never got served paperwork or anything. So when we got there, I got served my paperwork like 5 minutes prior, and when we got into courtroom, the judge knew my ex. They went to school together. They've been friends. He knows her husband, and she asked if I wanted to change the venue. And I said, no. I said, I trust your judgment and we won't change the venue, which, big mistake. I probably should have.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
didn't expect her to show favoritism. Yeah. But then she's like, well, I understand you just got served your papers 5 minutes before the hearing. Would you like better time to prepare? And I said, yes. I said, my mom and dad, every time they had to deal with family matters, they always had legal representation. So I was like, yeah, I would like to have legal representation. And we could wait. She says, okay, well, I know some things are missing on the paperwork. I'm just going to ask you a few questions and we can go from there. I said, okay. So, she asked about my son's father, which is deceased, what year he passed away in 2022. I answered her. And, after we answered the question, she goes, okay, well, I'm going to need you and him to go follow the bailiff and go take drug tests. And I was thinking to myself, she's proceeding on anyways, but I didn't want to be rude. I didn't want to be rude in the courtroom. I didn't want to be backstab her. So I went and I knew I was going to fail because I mean I'm not an active drug user. It was
Recreational.
I actually haven't used drugs since like 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like I just here and there. I mean, I was over at my mom's house. She passed away a year ago. She was
Oh,
killed by
sorry to hear that.
someone's negligence due to carbon monoxide poisoning.
Oh
And
no.
I was over there with a friend cleaning it, and my daughter was at school. Yeah, it was bad. And me and my sister found her. I mean, it was bad. Um, and but so we was over there cleaning. My daughter was at school, and that's when I she had some stuff there, and I was like, oh, okay, I've only been to my mom's house like 5 times since she's passed away. I was struggling, so I did have a moment of weakness, not gonna lie. But
Right.
anyway, so I knew I wasn't gonna pass this drug test. But I went anyway. I was compliant. So I mean, we went in there, and I was nervous, and I couldn't hardly pee in the cup. I peed just like a very little. She goes, I don't think this is gonna be enough for it to be an accurate reading. So but she's like, we'll try it anyway. So she read it, and the cup was inconclusive. So then she tried to do a mouth swab test on me, and for some reason, the mouth swab test came back as inconclusive. And so they made me wait in the waiting room, drink 6 cups of water, to try to pee again. And I peed again. It wasn't very much more than what the first pee was, and that one came back positive for methamphetamine and amphetamine. So I went back over to the courthouse, and they didn't even take me back into the courtroom. They took me in this room off to the side. They done sent my ex home, and there was the CPS workers there, and they said, um, there wasn't enough. It was presumptive positive because there wasn't enough urine in the cup for an accurate reading. But they said that they're going to go ahead and take my rights away anyway. Temporarily
Yeah.
relieve my rights. And I cried. I threw a fit. I was like, "You can't do that." My two youngest ones were already with my ex. I knew they were safe with him, but my oldest daughter, she hasn't seen her father since January by his own choice. Like we never went to court. I never made him pay child support, nothing like that. You know what I mean? If he wanted to see her, all he had to do was just let me know and he could see her. You know what I mean? We had that sort of agreement. Um, and but I mean, he hasn't seen her since January, and this is September when this happened. I mean, by choice, he ain't seen her for 9 months. He didn't have clothes there at the house that fit her. I
Who
mean, they
was
picked her up straight
where
from
was
school.
where was the daughter staying? The older daughter, where's she staying at?
Oh, she was with me at my friend's house because I had a one
Okay,
bedroom place. Um,
so you had the older daughter with the second man in your life. I would have used men because you had the first man that died. They had your first two children with, right?
no, no, no. My
Oh,
oldest daughter, her dad's still alive. Then there was my son, a middle child. His dad died, and then my youngest daughter is with my ex, but he's not the biological father.
okay. So you have three siblings. You have two girls and a boy, correct?
Hmm. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And your oldest daughter, uh, her father's still alive. And do you have any kind of relationship with him?
Yes, but he's been like absent most of her life.
Okay, but you had a
No,
relation,
no.
or he just left right away when she was born, and you had to
Yeah,
raise her.
yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, so
No,
you're a struggling
no.
single.
We was together like 3 years.
Okay, you were together for 3 years, and
Hmm.
you had this little daughter, and then did you guys go through
Yeah.
divorce? Okay, so you went and divorced him, and at that time was
No,
go ahead.
no. We wasn't married.
Oh, you just separated. Okay, well,
We
you
wasn't married. We was
dissolved
together
the
for
part.
3 years.
Okay,
Yeah. Right.
and
Like
CPS,
basically after I had Zoe, we separated.
right, and CPS wasn't involved back then. Was the Child Protection Service
No,
involved?
no, no.
Okay, all
This
right. So you met someone else
this
in your life, and this
mm-mm.
second person that you met in your life, were you married to him or just boyfriend girlfriend?
No. I left him like 7 months before my son was born. He wasn't a very good person. So I mean,
Oh,
he never even met
all
my
right,
son before he died. He never wanted to meet my son
right.
before he died.
Right.
Yeah.
So, did
And
he
then
die
my
of
third
natural
daughter,
cause? Yeah.
um,
Did your
I'm not
second
sure.
boy?
I
Oh,
didn't hear about it. I heard about it from my aunt, and she said it was like
oh.
unknown causes. I'm not sure exactly.
Did your son know that he died, or?
No, he don't know anything about him. I mean,
Oh, okay. All right.
but
Okay.
I mean, his
So,
dad didn't want to. His dad didn't want to be in his life, and I didn't want him to be a part of his life either.
so you had a third relationship, and again, was CPS involved in your first two children at all? Well, they were when he died.
No.
Oh, you know what? It's just that when you had your third boyfriend, and you had another child with your third boyfriend, right? Okay. So is that the one
Yeah.
that you married then? You married him?
No. No. We was just dating. But
Okay.
my youngest daughter is actually the biological daughter of my oldest daughter's dad. If that's hard to follow.
Okay.
But
Oldest
he
daughters.
doesn't want nothing to do with my youngest daughter, just my oldest daughter.
Oh,
Hmm.
well, wow. So he is the dad of your youngest daughter who um
And my
okay.
oldest daughter, yes.
Okay. Okay, the oldest daughter. So what are the ages of these children now? What are the ages?
My oldest is 8.
Okay.
My oldest daughter is 8 years old. My son is 5 years old, and my youngest daughter is 3 years old.
Okay, 3, 5, and 8. Okay. Now, the guy that's taking
Hmm.
to court, that's the third man in your life, then, right?
Yes, he's the one that's on my youngest daughter's birth certificate,
Okay,
but he wants to be her father. I mean, he's been
and
there for her since she was born.
were you married to him, or you just lived together?
No, we just lived together.
Okay, all right. But he wants to have
We was
joint
together for five
custody.
years.
Does he want to have joint custody or 50-50, or what does he want to do?
Well, I'm thinking since he called CPS on me, I think he just wants full custody of them.
Yeah. So
To be
he's the one
honest,
that he got CPS.
he's
So what he's trying to do, he's trying to take away your youngest child, and he doesn't want anything to do with you. So that's why you guys are
yeah,
involved in
and my
court.
son.
Oh, he wants to take your son, even though he's not the biological
Yeah,
father,
because he's been in my son's life since.
since he
Right,
was
yeah, because
born.
I mean he's been in my son's life since my son was like a month old.
Okay.
Um,
So this
yeah.
man, this
So
man
I
is
mean he
causing
wants full
now.
custody of him.
Now, when you told the judge you just served notice, and of course it's hindsight, but you should have said at that time, I need to speak to my attorney before I do anything more, take any tests, do anything, because you're probably not aware of is that you do not have to do anything with CPS. You know, let them in your house. They got to have court papers. Any of the police have to have court papers that specifically say the address, what they want to look for, and what they want to come to the house for. And it's got to be a court order from a court. And so if you don't have that paperwork, you don't have to let anybody in your house or like that because he's setting you up. What he's doing, and then having a conflict of interest, he's setting you up further there. It sounds like so. Um, you decide to take this drug test because you're trying to cooperate and you thought everything was nice, you had nothing to hide. And I hate to say the testing that they do in social services and the branch CPS, Child Protective Service, are not very good tests. They are contaminated. They don't really know how to take testing. And they should really go to a third party, a licensed laboratory to do the test under stringent conditions. If you can't go, then you can't go. The test has to be delayed, and they don't have to act on it because was your son and your youngest daughter in um, hurt in any way? What did he accuse you of? What are the charges CPS is charging you with?
Um, he collaborated with like my father, my stepmother, and um, my oldest daughter's grandmother, and they all kind of collaborated with and made up these false accusations that multiple people try and keep their story straight, to make it more believable.
What are the accusations
But
they
the
say?
false allegations was that um, they said that um, me and my oldest daughter was living in a garage with like gravel floor, not even like real flooring, with a mean pit bull, and that the man I was living with was a well-known meth dealer, and so on. And everything came back unsubstantiated. I mean, this when the CPS worker, she came to the house. We
Trying to
showed
charge
them,
you with
that we had.
meth.
All they said we had no hot or cold water either. Yeah. So I mean, I
They're
showed her we had hot and cold water. The flooring was real floor, wasn't just gravel.
yeah,
Um, you know, I mean, my my boyfriend now, I mean, he was arrested back in like 2013, but they couldn't. I mean, his charges got dropped, but that was like 2013. I was like, well, if he is a well-known meth dealer, I'm pretty sure the police wouldn't be letting him walk the street for the past 10 years, or else our police system's really
right,
failing us.
right,
You know what I mean? If he was
right,
that well known. But I mean, it's just, I mean, but CPS came here, they met me, they met my boyfriend. Everything was fine, other than the failed drug test from the family court, which, they had sent that one off to the labs um, for confirmation. But
yeah,
anyway, but they went ahead and took my daughter anyway. Like, no harm had ever came to my children. They never got hurt. I've always been a good mother. I mean, my little boy, he's had 3 open heart surgeries. I stayed at the Ronald McDonald House in Morgantown. I had him in August. He didn't get discharged till October, but he had constant readmissions after readmissions because he wouldn't gain weight and stuff like that because of his heart. And I mean, but I was there with him the whole time.
right.
And and I resuscitated him 3 different times when he stopped breathing on me at home. This wasn't.
Oh
I mean,
wow,
I've worked healthcare. I've done the CPR training. You train on the baby dolls and stuff like that, just like you do the adult dolls. But you don't ever think that you're going to use that in real life.
yeah,
On an infant.
it
And
does
I had to
work.
use it on my son, and he was just fresh from surgery. He still had the incision, like the scars and everything. I'm like pushing on his incisions, like ripping his stitches open, trying to save him. Like it was brutal.
Oh,
But I mean, it's either that or he dies on me. You know what I mean?
right, right,
So
right,
I mean,
right.
I did what I had to do. I saved him on 3 different occasions. But and my oldest daughter, I'm the only consistent parent she has ever had in her life. Like her father's been absent, but I've always been a good mom. This is what really bothers me about it altogether. Just because he's a disgruntled ex-boyfriend, he wanted to hurt me, and he knows that. I love my kids. That's the only way he can hurt me. You know what I mean?
No,
He's trying to take my
he,
kids from me,
he has
and
revenge in the back of his mind, and
and
he's
then
abusing the CPS. And the CPS people, I hate to say it, are not your friend. They're not your friend unless you have legal counsel. You're going to be stuck doing what you're doing because it's like a doctor trying to
hmm
operate. If you're not a doctor or have a doctor, you can't do surgery yourself. You need a lawyer to work with CPS. CPS is a complicated thing. Right now, CPS is supposed to be protecting the children, and through either people abusing them or neglecting them, and there's all kinds of physical abuse, and um, there is also sexual exploitation. There's neglect, like no housing, food, or clothing, or those kinds of things. So and by the way, as soon as they hear somebody, they don't have to have in writing. They can take verbal word that this is happening. You're guilty. In CPS court, you're guilty, and you're not guilty. You're not innocent. You're proven guilty. Where in civil court, it's the other way around. So you're an uphill battle, and when one parent takes advantage of the other parent, and tries to have your kids as alienation. Alienation is where one parent will try to alienate the other parent through the kids. So, um, okay, so all this is going on. After the drug test, what did you do next?
um, they sentenced me to the caller of the day, where I got to call this phone number every morning, Monday through Friday. And if they call my caller, which my caller's blue, if I hear, blues called, then I got to go into the DRC building. Um, and take my drug test by
So
9:30. I gotta be there by 9:30 in the morning.
so they already had a plan for you. What was the usually when they took away your kids right at first, then right? So what they did?
Hmm.
Okay, when they take away the
Yeah,
kids, they have to have a meeting where they meet with you and decide what you're going to do with your kids, whether they're going to be in a family member's home with your boyfriend or in foster care or a group home. And so,
yeah,
what was
yeah. We
that
had
meeting?
like an MDT meeting.
Right. What was that like? What was that like?
Um, they told me that my ex would keep my two youngest. They would stay with him at his mom's house, and my
Okay.
oldest would have to go live with her father. Um, which, like you said, I said he has not seen her since January, and this is September when this is happening.
Okay.
Um, she don't really even like him. I mean, he
So they're
don't
putting
call
them
her.
in
He
family
don't. I
members.
mean, she
But
calls, but he don't
they're
answer. I mean, she don't want to go with him. I mean,
Yeah, it's good they're putting with family members because if they don't put with family members and they get you into the system, they'll put them in a group home or in foster care, and that gets worse because CPS's goal is
yeah,
not family.
that's one relief I have.
Yeah, they're not family reunification. They say that, but they don't mean it or they don't apply it. What they want to do is they want to have your children adopted and they want to have it so they get more money from the state and federal. It's a money making thing, and um, I know about West Virginia because you're the second person I've spoken to from West. Um, their case is a little bit different uh, on that case there, but um, he so you had that meeting, and so your two youngest are with your boyfriend that is after you for revenge, and then
Mhm.
your oldest is put with her biological father, and so he went ahead and
Yes,
accepted her for the time being. Then, right? Okay.
yes, and now he wants to act like
Then,
he's super dad.
yeah. Then did you do the court thing where they tell you in court what your plans are or what has to be done with you to get your children back? So
Yes,
how
yes,
how did that go? How did that go? You went with that judge that was
um,
a friend of your boyfriend? You stuck with
no,
that
they
judge?
they they moved it from family court to circuit court, so I got a whole new judge now.
Okay,
Um,
good, good, good. Glad to hear that.
yeah, I thought so too, but I mean, this judge is he's 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 so biased and unfair.
Oh yeah,
And
and
yeah, so
I will interject as one thing. Most family courts, and I'm only speaking from California firsthand experience because I had a case myself in 2015. It took me 3 years, and I got two of the three children back. Me and my wife did, but we're still going through after 9 years through all kinds of side effects, what CPS did to our children and did to us, and what our family members. We had trouble with our family members. One side of the family wanted to pit the other side of the family and make allegations. They're unfounded and untrue. And so um, it ended up, you know, I know what you're going through and so forth. But in California, the judge that we had only knew anything about property damage, collision. He knew nothing about family. He wasn't a family law attorney. He was just a lawyer that knew how to get more money out of people for car damages. And so he was worthless. And then the CPS people and the lawyers, the public defenders, the therapists, all that were in cahoots. Also, we couldn't be in court. That's nothing. Were you allowed to be in court at all times when the case is being
yeah,
decided
yeah,
on?
I'm allowed to be in the courtroom.
Okay, you're lucky
Yes,
because
I'm not allowed to speak though. I'm not allowed to speak. Only my lawyer's allowed
well,
to speak.
right, that's fine. But in our case, they make you wait in the hall, and our hall is like standing room only because they have so many cases. It's ridiculous. And the public defenders handle 20 cases at a time. They're not going to be your friend. They're not going to help you out there. So, okay, so what did the court finally decide you had to do? What did you have to do?
I had to purchase a caller of the day where I like a call up number. I had to go in every time they call my caller, which it gets called 4 days a week. I mean, 4 out of 5 days I'm going in there by 9:30 for drug testing, and the stat cups that's what they're called, the stat cup, urine cups. They'll come back negative, and
Yeah.
then I mean, I have so many negative stat cups, but then the labs, whenever the labs come back like a week later, I'll be like positive for 130 nanograms per milliliter of methamphetamine, but I'm negative for amphetamine. I mean, you can't have methamphetamine without having amphetamine in your system. I mean, because that's
Well,
what it
first
metabolites down
of all,
into.
were you ever taking amphetamines before? I mean, um, I
No.
thought amphetamines are bad. So why would you be testing positive? Amphetamines is a killer drug. It'll kill you.
Well, it's a metabolite from methamphetamine. So I mean, if you take methamphetamine, it metabolites, through your liver and your kidneys and comes out with methamphetamine and amphetamine. It metabolites down into amphetamines. But I'm
Oh,
negative for amphetamines on my lab results. But yeah, it says I'm positive for methamphetamine. But
now you
I
said
mean, that if I was
2013,
positive for meth but not amphetamine,
right? In 2013, you were taking drugs. You said, right?
2015 I was on Subutex.
Okay. What drug was it?
Subutex.
Okay. And
It's
but that is like almost 10 years ago, and so you're still
yeah. I
testing
got off those a
positive
long time
for that.
ago.
So what drug were they saying you were taking?
No. They said that I fell for meth. On the labs, but not on the cup.
Uh,
Um, for
did you have a
methamphetamine.
public? Did you
But
have a
when
public
I looked at my
defender?
lab results,
Yeah. Did you have a public
yeah,
defender?
she's
Was
yeah, but
worthless.
she's terrible. I mean, yeah,
You
I
should have
mean,
stopped
I can't
drug
talk to
testing.
her. She
Yeah, you should have said there, I need to have a good drug tested by a third party. A lot of people don't know that. Is that the social workers and the judge, they're not trained in professional taking drugs. And you need to have a neutral lab that knows how to take drugs correctly because it's got to be, your hands have got to be clean. And then, you do the pee in the cup, and that cup's got to be sealed, and then it's got to be tested in a very sterilized environment. Otherwise, it'll be contaminated along the way. So when you were
yeah, that's what
taking,
they did. They'll put it in the cup at the DRC building, and they'll put the seal on it, and they'll bag it
okay,
up, and they send it to the labs. But then
and you
the labs will
and
send
you
back
saw that,
if you're
right?
positive, you get lab results back.
Right, right, right,
Hmm.
right. So
Yeah.
you're
So I
testing
mean, but
negative,
if the
and you're taking this 4 times a week. Once every four
yeah
days doing this. Okay. And what was he doing all this time? Was he
yeah
accused of anything? Was anything he was accused of? Did he have to take drug?
no
So they're trying to say you were the bad parent.
no not at all. No,
So
yeah, and I haven't used drugs since that time at my mother's house that I was telling you about. I mean, it's
right, right.
January now. I mean, it's going on 4 months that I've not even recreationally used. I mean, I'm clean for the past 4 months, and but
Okay,
I'm passing these stat cups. They're coming back all negative, and
okay.
then but then when I'm in the courtroom and the girl from the DRC building is on the stand reading my lab results, um, she'll say that you know there's just like a very small handful of them that I tested positive for methamphetamine, but only
Uh-huh.
at like 130 nanograms per milliliter. Like that's such a low amount. But the following day, because I take these 4 days a week, but the following day after that one, I'm negative for all drugs. Like I'm pretty sure no one can get methamphetamine out of their system in a day's time. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's such a low amount. I mean, it's got to be like passive exposure or something, if it's even true. I think they're falsifying it, but I can't confirm or deny that. You know what I mean? But um, as she's reading hold on, let me fix this.
Okay.
So sorry.
That's okay.
Is that better?
Yeah, I
Okay.
hear you.
As
I just
she's reading my
yes.
as she's reading my toxicology report,
Uh-huh.
she reads that I tested positive for Ramron, which that's my prescribed antidepressant medicine. And whenever
Okay.
you go to DRC before you take your test, they ask you what medicines you're taking or prescribed, or any over-the-counter medicines you take. So and I told them that I'm prescribed Ramron because I am. Um,
Yeah.
but anyways, so she's reading my toxicology report on the stand, and she says I tested positive for Ramron. And right there, I'm thinking to myself, um, how is that in my toxicology report? Because although I am prescribed Ramron for depression, I have not taken my Ramron at all. It's still stapled shut in the pharmacy bag that the pharmacist handed me from Walmart back in September, like September 6th. That's when I still had my kids. I just never took it. What I mean, I don't like to be medicated. I try to self cope. What I mean? But I mean, I have it. I am prescribed it, but I have not taken it. So I was
Right.
wondering, like, how is Ramron showing up in my toxicology report? I mean, I have not taken it at all. Like, that's my first prescription of it. I didn't even take it before it got filled. What I mean? It's my very first prescription of it. It's still in the pharmacy bag. So right there makes me think that yes, they just know that I am prescribed it, and they threw it on my toxicology report to make it seem legitimate because most people do take their antidepressant medicine.
Right. 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 Right.
But and then she'll say that I tested positive for meth at a different day for 123 nanograms per milliliter, or that I tested positive for cocaine. I've never done cocaine in my life. That's what's really weird. Like, even back in my party days, back in like 2015 or and prior,
Right.
I'd never done cocaine. I mean, it's never
Right.
been.
How old are you
Um,
now?
so that's
How
why I
old
thought
are
it was
you?
weird. But it's such like again, it's such a.
Yeah.
I'm 31.
Okay. Okay. And you're doing all
Yeah, I'm
this
31 now.
like like in your 20s,
But
right? Yeah.
my teenagers mostly. I had my oldest daughter when I was 22. That's when I slowed down drastically. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. Right. Well, they don't want
and
you.
that's why I got put on the Subutex.
A lot of people don't realize that if you're taking a legal drug, even recreation, and you're away from your children, so you can't be taking any drugs if you have children under the age of 18. They're illegal. And that's why they try to
Hmm.
have you go through a program. Now, my question is, you're being tested. What else did the court find you had to do to get your children back? What else did they tell you you have to do?
Um, they told me I have to attend NA meetings. Hold on.
What
They
kind
told
of
me to
meetings?
attend the NA meetings, which I have
Okay,
been like twice a week or so.
okay,
Hold on.
sure. For all you listeners out
Make sure it's
here,
connected.
I want you to hear the number 888-888-6582. That's the phone number to call in to ask to speak on the show. Or if you want to speak to a licensed family law attorney who has a trial attorney background, his name is Vincent W. Davis. And he'll give you 30 minutes to an hour consultation and go over the strategies of how to fight CPS and get your children back. Go ahead, Eve. As soon as you get your earpiece straightened out, that's all right.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Can you hear me? Okay.
Okay, good. Um,
Okay.
hold on.
So
Okay,
besides the
sorry. I'm
drug
so sorry.
testing,
I'm
no,
out in
no,
the country
I'm
and I don't have
yeah, it's
very good
fine.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it's okay. But I'm trying to say is that besides the court must have told you to do certain other things. Were you told to take parenting classes or
No, I mean, they had mentioned the pairing classes, but when I had asked my CPS worker about them, she's like, "Well, I'll get back to you on that," and she never did. But I had to take NA's classes, and my lawyer, they wanted me to do a psych evaluation also, and I did do that. Um,
right?
but my lawyer, she's like, um, "You need to go to rehab, or else they're going to take your kids." I'm like, "Rehab isn't to keep clean people clean." I'm like, "It's to." I feel like I would be taking the bed away from someone who needs it. You know what I mean? I mean, I've been clean for the past 4 months. I'm way past the detox phase. I didn't even detox because I didn't. Like I said, I was recreational. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. Was that
I
the
was perfectly
alcohol?
fine
Was that
just
the alcohol or
not
was
doing
that
it.
the
But
drug? Was that the
anyway,
drug?
so she's like, but you
alcohol.
need rehab. We're going to take your kids. So,
Okay.
but I didn't because I had to go to, I had to do my psych evaluation, which was all the way in Morgantown, which is like 45 minutes from here. Um, and then I did that. And then I'm trying to deal with Section 8, trying to get a housing voucher for me and my kids. Um,
Okay.
I don't,
Did you
I don't
have
know
a
if you guys know what
job? Did you have
Section
a
8 is
job?
like HUD, but
Yeah, it's HUD. We have Section 8 here in California, but
no, I was getting my
we
son's disability check and up until they
okay.
took it away.
Did you have a job? Did you have a job to earn some
Um,
income?
no, not at the
Okay.
moment. I don't.
Yeah. Well, what kind of? I
Um,
mean, would you be able to get a job, or do you?
yeah, I don't have transportation right now. Every time I
Okay.
have to go to check in, I have to find me a ride every morning.
Yeah, you're probably living out in the country too, right?
Yeah, it's
And
out there.
they don't have good bus
It's
transportation.
not a whole lot of people passing
No.
by on their way to work. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Right. And you don't have
But
anybody as an advocate
anyway,
to
so
help
I
you.
was trying to get Section 8 housing. What is
Yeah.
it?
I was saying is that you have nobody that's an advocate that wants to help you, someone that would help you, not try to take away your children. It sounds like you don't have an advocate. Um,
Yeah. I mean, I don't have no family hardly. I mean, my dad and my stepmother, went against me, and my mother passed away. Um,
oh,
I don't
so
really. I mean, that's all the family I really have. I have an older sister, but I mean, she don't have a vehicle, either.
yeah,
But
yeah.
so I basically just have, my boyfriend, which I mean, he helps me a lot, but
Is this your fourth man? I
um,
mean, this
but
fourth
it's hard.
guy?
It's hard, when you don't have transportation. Even just to
Yeah.
get to DRC, then then
Does
to
he
get to a
work?
job. But
Does he
I'm
work?
hoping to buy a vehicle once I get my taxes back this year.
Yeah. Does he work? Does he
Yeah,
work? Okay.
yeah.
So is he
He
willing to
works under
help
the
out with the
counter,
home?
like under the table,
Right.
doing on and in jobs for a lot of people.
Does he want to help out with rent? I mean, is that what he wants to do, or do you guys want to live together?
No,
Or?
I'm living with him, but his stepmother pays the bills and stuff.
Oh, okay.
hmm But
So
I'm just supposed to be temporarily living here. This isn't supposed to be like my forever home. I mean, because like
no,
there's just one room here for me and my three children ain't gonna work. You know what I mean?
no. And then, do you guys
So
plan?
that's why
Do you guys plan to do a life together? I mean, is this a serious relationship?
yeah. I mean,
Okay. Okay. Well, I
I've known
just
him my whole life. I mean, he
okay.
used to be friends with my dad and everything like that growing up. I mean, as far as I
Okay.
can remember, I've known him.
So, what does the courts say you have to do now? What's their game plan with you?
I have to get housing,
Okay.
sufficient bedrooms for me and my children, which I've been trying to do. I went to Section 8. I was on the waiting list for 3 months. Um, Once I got, bumped up on the waiting list, it was my turn. I had to go turn in some paperwork, and see, Section 8 told me to have my boyfriend write a letter stating that he pays my cell phone bill every month, and then they wanted me to have CPS write a letter saying that my rights have not yet been terminated, that I still have a
Okay.
fighting chance of getting my kids back within 12 months, and
Okay.
that this is how many bedrooms I will need, although only one person will be living here at that time until, I'm reunified with my children. And so when I asked my CPS worker for that letter to turn into them, she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I can't just write that letter. I was like, well, I mean, Section 8 said you can also handwrite it too. Just leave your name and your contact number. So if they had any questions, they can ask you. She goes, I can't do that. I don't know what you're talking about. It's over my head. So I had to go back to Section 8 and only turn in, you know, the bare minimum. So I only got approved for a 1 bedroom voucher. The judge is not going to grant my children back to me on a 1 bedroom voucher. You know what I mean? I got 3 kids plus me. I mean, So
They don't.
anyways, I
They
talked
don't.
to a
They don't.
lawyer on the phone
They
at Morgan and
right.
Morgan Law
Right.
Service like 2 weeks ago, and I
Okay.
described it to him just like I did my CPS worker, what Section 8 was asking for,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Oh yeah, that's the FUP letter for the Family Unification Process letter." He knew exactly what I was talking about. I mean, he's a lawyer. I
Yeah.
mean,
He's a
she
family
works for.
law
You
attorney.
don't
He's
know
what you need.
what I was talking about. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Without that,
So
without the
I brought
CPS
it to
participate.
my CPS worker's attention that I found out what the letter was called. Huh?
Yeah. Without that letter, see the reason why CPS
Sorry,
doesn't
my
want to help you is they want to. You hear me? Okay. Yeah. The reason why CPS doesn't want to help
yeah,
you
yeah, I hear you.
is that it's they want to make money, and the way to make money is to put your children in foster care. Um, and see, the thing is, it's $1 billion business that Child Protection Services does, and they get money from the federal government and from the state government, and they get lots of money. They get enough money. In my case, my worker had was excited because she got a BMW, she got a bonus, she got Gucci purses. It's terrible out here in California. It's strictly all about money, and so it isn't a family reunification. And they determined they first put my family members were first with my wife's sister and husband. That didn't work out. Then they put them in a group home. Then they put them in foster care. They're abused in foster care, and in the end, they brainwashed our youngest daughter to divorce her parents. Our two boys, the one younger boy and the older boy, did get returned to us, but we had to have an attorney do so. And that attorney was Vincent W. Davis. And so he's the one that got my boys back. But we lost our daughter in the end, so it isn't all perfect. And the only thing that was in our case was I was out of work at the time. So you're out of work, that's really they really hit you hard. And I was 60 at the time. And and it's hard later when you get older in life. People don't want to hire older people. And so at 65, I was fighting them. And I'm trying to get my youngest at that time was only 9 years old. My other daughter was 12. My other son was 15. And so it was really kind of hard. And so um, it's unless you get an attorney that can help you go through it, but they're going to try to stall. They're going to try and make your life like hell. And of course, it doesn't help
Yeah,
when
and
you have your boyfriend, your ex-boyfriend, trying to manipulate and lie, and their family members lying. It's just wow, you're in a tough case there. So after
yeah,
the
and that's what she did. She set me back, saying that she didn't know what that letter was. So she set me back. So, I got approved for
yeah,
a 1 bedroom voucher instead of three or 4 bedroom. So,
yeah, yeah,
I told her what letter it was I needed, and she still acted like she didn't know what I was talking about.
you can
But
have
she's like,
two
I'll look
children.
into it.
You can have two children in a bedroom, so you and one of your children can be in one room, and the two children can be in the other room. You can have a two-bedroom place. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. I mean, I sleep on the couch. I wouldn't even need a bedroom. I just get the bedrooms to my kids.
right,
I mean,
right. There you go. You can put one in one bedroom and two in the other one. Okay.
mhm. Yeah. I mean, I put my
Yeah.
2 girls in one, my boy in the other. I mean, but
Right.
no, I just got a 1 bedroom voucher because she acted
Yeah.
like she didn't know what I was talking about. So I mean, that set me
Yeah.
back. And I have not seen my kids since September. I dropped my daughter off at school, and I ain't seen her since. I mean,
Oh.
my two youngest ones was living with my ex while I had like the week I was packing up because we got evicted. I let them stay with him while I was packing and stuff. And I mean, I haven't seen them since then either.
Wow.
I have begged and pleaded to my CPS worker to please let me call or see my children, and she's
You
like,
didn't have
"No, the judge
monitored
hasn't approved it yet."
visits. Wow.
Huh?
You didn't have visits with your children.
No, not at all. And she keeps telling me the judge has not approved it, and I finally last like last week my lawyer finally emailed me my case file link because like I was like I want to see what's going on in my case file 'cause she don't communicate with me no nothing. So she emailed me the link,
Okay.
and I was going through the files in that I had seen from like my kids got taken in September 21st. Um, but I had saw where I was granted supervised visitation on October 2nd, but no one
They
had
did.
told me.
You didn't have
And
any
I mean, and
paperwork.
then when
Oh boy.
I have nagged and begged the CPS worker to let me call or see my kids, and she says no, the judge has not granted permission yet. But I mean, he did in October, and you're on tell me that she's not aware of that. I mean, she's purposely like subtracted me from my kids' lives, like,
You
and set
you
me
should have
back.
asked.
Where I
You
can't get the
should have.
housing voucher. So when I do go to court, I have no progress to show the judge. Because I mean, I can't. I have up until February to spend my housing voucher, but I'm not going to spend it on a 1-bedroom place. I gotta get that fixed first. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because once
Right.
I spend
Right.
it, I gotta stay in that place for a year before I find another place.
Okay. So don't
So
spend it there. But yeah. But the
no,
what is the I should say, if did you ask for a supervisor or someone further up that maybe you could show them the paperwork where you had your visitations, how they were not given to you? Did you try to ask
I
for a
I had
supervisor?
I had contacted I can't remember what it's called, but it's who you call to complain about with the DHR services. I can't remember
Okay,
what's called, but something
okay,
complaints compliance.
right,
So I
right,
did call them and I told them what she had done, and they said that they was going to look into it, but that was just last week when I had called them. I have not heard
oh,
back anything from that yet, but
okay,
anyway, so when we go to court, I had court last Tuesday, and
uh-huh,
I had all this like evidence. Me and my friend had gathered all this evidence. We looked at all my lab results, and the inconsistencies with the lab results was unreal. Um, I'm positive for cocaine this day, but the next day I don't have cocaine in my system. Um, you know, such low the nanograms per milliliter of methamphetamine are so low. I mean, it could not be from active consumption. I mean, even if they are, I mean, I'm thinking that they're falsifying my lab results and just putting these numbers in there
oh, they
because,
are,
they put my
they
Ramron
are,
in there and I have not taken
they're,
my Ramron at all. I mean,
yeah,
so it shouldn't be in
they're,
there.
they're trying to take the
But if,
kids away.
just hypothetically, if, the numbers are true, I mean, it's such a low amount. It's barely above the cutoff level of the, lab results. So, I mean, it could have been on a dollar bill or a door handle or something that I had
Yeah,
touched, maybe like touched my face or something. I don't know, but I mean, it's such a low
right,
number. It's
right,
definitely not.
right,
And the inconsistencies, I mean, you can't have that many low numbers without a high number of nanograms somewhere. Like my very first drug test I took in, for family court, it was like the labs came back like 11,060 nanograms per milliliter. That's not. I mean, it sounds like a high number, but for like a actual drug abuser, you're looking at like 20, 30,000, 40,000 nanograms. Okay, so 11,000. I mean, that's still a lot, but I'm not. It could be a lot worse. But anyways, so that means I actually did take drugs because that's why that nanogram was so high at that time. You know what I mean?
right,
But
right.
now I'm testing positive for like 130 nanograms per milliliter, and here and there on like a handful of times, not a lot, but just a handful of times. But it's so inconsistent, and if they, I mean, the judge, he doesn't even look at the numbers. He just hears them say, "Oh, Shelby's or she's tested positive for methamphetamine, amphetamine, cocaine, Ramron, all this stuff," but they're not looking at the numbers to prove
They're
anything. I
making
mean,
assumptions. They're not trained or educated.
no,
Yeah.
not at all. I mean, I'm sure they've been doing this for a long time. I mean, you would
Well,
think they would be able to tell the difference between passive, active, or active
uh,
consumption or passive. But
okay.
anyways, I'm thinking before I go to court on this past Tuesday, I'm thinking, okay, I got them. I have not taken my Ramron, so I present that to my lawyer. I'm like, listen, I want you to ask them why my Ramron is showing up in my toxicology report when I have not taken it. Like I showed her the pharmacy bag still stapled shut from the pharmacist. And
Uh-huh.
I mean, that raises some questions to see, if they're falsifying that, who's to say they're not falsifying my other fails,
Yeah.
because
Yeah. Yeah.
um it just don't make sense to me. And she's like, okay, okay, we'll mention it, and then we get in there, and she doesn't do a thing. Like, and
Um,
I had asked for a change of counsel because I mean she's let me down so many times. She makes me look bad.
well, you
I
need
mean,
to get
I've
another.
never been in a courtroom in my life. I'm no prior drug charges, no criminal history. This is my first
Yeah.
time in a courtroom. I'm nervous.
Well, the
And I'm even more
CPS.
nervous because I
Yeah.
don't have a lawyer that makes me feel confident. Where I do feel safe in
Well.
there. I mean, I'm nervous about what she's going to do to me. Not so much the judge, but I mean, how's this
Yeah.
woman going to throw me under the bus today? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing
Um,
is, you sometimes have to try two or three public defenders before you find the right
yeah,
one. There are
you know,
ones
and
out there. You just have to,
I
and it takes time. It takes time.
every time I ask for a new public offender, I've asked for one at the beginning of this because me and my lawyer don't see eye to eye. We're not going to see eye to eye. I mean, she don't want to help me unless I go to rehab. But I mean, I try to explain to her I don't need the rehab. I mean, I'm doing the parenting classes. I'm going to DRC 4 times a week. Well, I'm trying to get Section 8. I can't do that from rehab. You know what I mean? And try to explain that to her. But she won't help me unless I go to rehab. But so I, I put in a request for it at the beginning of this, and the judge denied the motion. And then this last Tuesday, I went, and I had given him a good reason of why I wanted a different public offender. I mean, because
And
it's I
what they
have the
say
right
last
to a fair trial,
what
and
they
I have a
say.
right.
Yeah, what they
He
say.
he denied it. He denied it altogether. I was like,
Why? What
you're
was his
violating my
grounds for
Sixth
denying?
Amendment.
What was his reason for denying it?
He said that he didn't want to prolong this court case any longer than what has already been, prolonged. Which I mean, I don't really feel like it's been prolonged. I mean, it's going on 4 months now, but it's not like we had to stop and wait to, push back dates and
No.
stuff. I mean, it's just
Right. Yeah.
we're going with the flow of it. But I mean,
Have you
he
have
just
you have you talked to any other professional? What I mean by professional attorney that you would have to pay, but sometimes they give you a 30-minute to an hour consultation and some strategies. Have you talked to any attorneys then? No, no.
yeah. I have a friend that I met at the DRC where we go to drug tests.
Okay.
And she has a friend up in New York, and he used to be I mean he's a lawyer, but he used to be a judge also.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I would really love for him to come down here and
Have you?
help me. And
Well,
but I
he's
mean,
probably gonna need money there, but the thing is, if you talk to him, he could probably give you the strategies for you
yeah,
to
yeah. He
start.
told me that I should open like a class action lawsuit against the testing company because. I mean,
Well,
I'm not
that
the only person that this is happening to. I mean, the inconsistencies with the drug tests and the lab cups. I mean, and I'm a
you
nobody. I mean, like I said, I have
you
no criminal
can't.
history, no drug
Right.
charges. I'm a nobody, but they're picking on me. I mean, they're not just picking on me. It's everybody,
Well, you can't open
and
a
they're ruining
lawsuit.
lives.
Yeah, unless his case is finished. You see, you can sue CPS. You can sue all the people connected with CPS, but your case has to be done. It's kind of a shame, but it's too premature to file a lawsuit against somebody when you're still actively involved in your case and with the people there. I mean, that's the downside.
Right.
So it's
Well,
bad. The only way you could do it is to go to the supervisors or go to the manager or go to the CEO or the president or whoever's the top of that social services and ask for help there. Usually there's an advocate that is somebody that knows the system that would help you. Usually the courts have advocates. You don't have anything called an advocate there that helps
we
out
have
parents?
um we have the Litem children of Litem, but not really no advocates for the parents.
No, there's usually an
We have the public
advocate.
defender.
Yeah, see, there's supposed to be an advocate, somebody that can help you, but it's again, I don't know. how many people they got working in West Virginia in social services. So it's uh, it is hard where you're at right now. I think you need to get some changes made because you're going to go nowhere. They're going to eventually have you. They're hoping that you'll get burnt out and stop, or they're hoping that time will run out and they'll have to take action against you. And that's something you don't want to have happen.
Yeah. Well, I on the when I had court on Tuesday, after he denied my motion for a new lawyer, um,
Yeah.
he's like, "Well, since you refuse to go to rehab, I have no choice but to terminate your rights next month." Um, he didn't even
Now,
hear
who is giving you the
like
order to
all he
rehab?
has
Is it
to.
the court? Is the court telling you had to go to rehab?
Well, my lawyer initially brought it up, but when I went for my psych evaluation,
Uh huh.
the when I was she didn't think I should go to rehab. She said I should go to therapy and NA meetings, but she didn't think rehab had been necessary. Um, but my lawyer brought it up in the first thing scenario, but the judge didn't even recommend rehab at that time. But now after I've had all these failed drug screens
Yeah.
and
Well, it sounds like
all
it,
this, he's like,
what is the downside
and he
about
wants
going
me
to
to admit to
rehab?
something I didn't do.
Well, that's right. Don't
He's
ever
like, since you
sign
can't admit that
anything.
you have a drug problem.
Yeah. Well, you're going to have to need somebody like a doctor or someone that says you don't have a drug problem. Do you have a doctor that you see?
Yeah, I have a
Would that
primary care
doctor
provider.
would that doctor be willing to write you a letter that says you don't have a drug problem?
I don't see why not. I mean,
That's what I'm saying. You need something
I've
like that.
taken
You need something like that. You need a letter from a professional doctor that says this person underneath my care, they do not have a drug problem. You need to establish that. And again, the
okay.
courts work on paperwork. They work on, you know, even though the judge may ban and so forth. If you have paperwork to support your claim, you don't need it, then that'd be fine. I mean, your lawyer and the judge are not doctors. They don't know whether you need it or not. They only work on recommendations from professionals. So you need a doctor. You need somebody that knows you, that willing to write a letter that you're free of any drugs in your system and that you do not have any dependency on drugs. And you know that doctor will go a long ways with you on that, and that needs to be entered into court.
Well, good. I didn't know that at all. Like I have paid for like my own drug tests and stuff from like the ER. Because like whenever the stat cut was said, like at this one court day I had back on November 7th,
Uh huh.
the judge asked me if I had any drugs in my system, and I said no. And he says, "Okay, well, I'm gonna need you to go take a drug test." So I did. Um, so I'm in there, with the worker. She's watching me go and everything, and she's reading my cup results off to me. She says, "You tested positive for um cocaine, methamphetamine, and alcohol."
Uh
I'm
huh.
like, I I've not drank since I was like 23 years old.
Okay.
I've never done cocaine, and I haven't done methamphetamine.
Okay.
I was like, retest me. I mean, tell the court, take a brief recess, retest me. That cup is wrong. And she goes, no, we can't. We don't have time for that.
Well,
So,
you
I
can
mean,
get your own
I
test,
go
by the
back
way.
in the courtroom and I look like,
Yeah, you need your own testing. See, that's
what
the
is it?
thing is, you do your own testing. You go to your doctor and say you want to get a test done. See, you have to build your case up. You need
That's
to
what I
get
did right after court. As soon as I left that courtroom, I went to the hospital and I paid for my own test. It was like $50 for my own test because I knew that
right,
cup was wrong.
right. Well,
And
then,
they
to the
text me,
paperwork,
we go on the my charts where,
can you show the paperwork to the judge?
yes, that it all came back negative. I've done
And
this
what
on two
and what
different
he said,
occasions.
and what he say,
And
the
he's
judge.
he said, well, the cutoff levels for that cup are different than the cutoff levels that we use. And then I started to do the research and stuff. The cutoff levels are the same. I mean, there
Exactly.
ain't no difference
They
from that
don't know.
cup.
They don't
I
know.
mean,
They're trying to fight like that. I'm looking at our clock right now. We
Yes,
have
I mean,
less.
I don't think they think
We have
people research things, but I
right.
mean,
Our time, by the way, is up. That doesn't mean you can stop. I mean, if you want to continue this and talk further, you can call back in. The number again is 888-888-6582, and that's the law offices of Vincent W. Davis, a licensed family law attorney with a trial background, and he offers a 30-minute or an hour of a free consultation and to go over the strategies of how to fight CPS and get your children back. But I do want to thank you for taking your time to share. There's a lot of things that I learned, even though you're my second person to talk to from West Virginia. But I don't want you to give up because your children are your precious
oh no, I
things,
never. I
and
mean,
you
I will
knew
kill it.
you
I
know
mean,
you know what you need. You need to get a house that has at least two bedrooms. Okay, you put two children in
hmm
each, put one in one and two in the other. But you need to have some independent drug testing. You need a doctor that will back up what you're saying that you don't need drug rehab. You need some type of medical
yes, because
profession.
I was going to check myself into rehab today.
Yeah.
You know,
And you don't need the judge, by the way, to get a new attorney. The judge has nothing to do with that. That's up to the
I don't.
public defenders. You go to the public defender's office and say, "I want a new public defender," and to go through there and ask for a public defender. It's your legal right that you can ask for a public defender, another one. You can do that. That's why I
Well,
wish you had the
I didn't know
funds
that. Thank
right now.
you.
I wish you would have the funds to, get a real attorney or talk to Vincent Davis, and he'll give you some strategies. But you need legal help. You need your medical doctor to support you. That you don't need rehab. You need some positive tests that are negative testing for anything, and you need to get your children. Also, if you're supposed to see your children, you need to show the court papers and need to show that you're supposed to see your children. You have no visitation. What's wrong? Why? I mean, yeah. Well, if we have more time, we can talk about that. But I do have to end the show. But I want to thank you
You're
and
fine.
all the listeners that this is a live show, and to please call in. And uh, I want everybody to have a happy New Year and much success and much happiness. Thank you very much. This is Bob Pace signing off.
Thank you.